at some point in the recent years, I started loving RTS games. And now, to my great honor, I get to work with RTS. And not just any RTS game, but my favorite franchise, Age of Empires and Age of Mythology, which is a huge dream come true. RTS to me is like a real-time chess. It's about you developing your pieces and your economy and preparing your army to face your opponent, right? And it's also about denying resources from your opponent in a way that is cheap to you and costly to them. It's about mastering an optimized set of strategies called the build orders, but also quickly adapting to what your opponent's doing. And you do that via scouting, like sending a quick but weak unit to your opponent's base to figure out what they're doing. It's about making the most out of your macro, your economy, but also microing your units in an efficient way to get the best out of every single infantry, archery, and cavalry. And it all happens in the same freaking time, so multitasking is the name of the game. Hey guys, it's Harry, and in this video we get to talk about RTS, which is awesome. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's talk about games. Many times when I'm playing RTS games, I don't even know if I'm actually having fun or just working my ass off. But at the end of the day, I love it. I feel so smart, and I have that subtle, empowering feeling that I know exactly what I need to do to win the next time. Bottom line, I need to get good. RTS games grant me an experience like I believe no other game genre does. In the sense that I get when I build up my economy and base to get the best possible army, face my opponent, and have those huge epic battles where winning the game is decided with a few key decisions that I make, it's undisputedly the best of what gaming has to offer. Now we need a reality check. It's not like RTS is getting any bigger as a genre, right? It's not RTS can attract a lot of new gamers out there, and the two biggest exponents of the genre are games that are like literally 15 and 25 years in existence, StarCraft and Age of Empires. Some people might contest that, but it's pretty clear that the entrance barrier for an RTS game is considerably higher than other genres. For the reasons we already touched on, there's a lot of things that you need to know in order to be any good at the game. And I'm talking about 80% of the RTSs out there. There's no smooth sailing when you're a noob in an RTS game trying to test the waters, learn some basic things and all of that. You simply spend a lot of time just failing before you succeed. There's not much way around that. It's not like an RPG that you first have very simple gear to use and you face level 1 enemies and it's all a walk in the park. The game will take your hand and guide you through the challenges and give you exactly the tools that you need to defeat your foes. No. You're not even gonna see your foes coming. You will lose your entire army to your opponent having no clue of what just happened. And you'll be constantly blocked by your own economy. Fun fact is that you could play an RTS game like StarCraft or Age of Empires solo with no enemy, no opponents, just trying to develop your economy and your army by yourself, alone in the map. And you're still gonna fail for a long time. You are your own challenger in an RTS match. But again, the same thing can happen with chess, Go, or many other legendary games, because of the depth they can provide. And that depth is exactly what makes them thrilling to learn. And it's also fair to say that the genre probably has some of the most loyal communities in gaming, people who have been playing the same games and perfecting strategies for decades. That is why I compare it to chess. Games like chess and Go got developed and refined over the years until they were extremely solid games that could survive centuries while still being relevant and presenting new challenges for the players. And I believe that few other genres, if any, have the same kind of power to do that when we're talking about computer games. And the premise of the genre is so solid that most of the games in it share the same core principles. It would be very hard to design an RTS game without fog of war, or scouting, or the rock, paper, scissors relationship that we have among the units, like infantry beats cavalry, who beat archers, who beat infantry. That full cycle of strength and weakness is a core balance value of pretty much all RTS games. In chess, the relationships are not so obvious, but they are there. Different pieces have different strengths and weaknesses against others, and that affects everything in the game, that affects the way you play the game. And it is very interesting to see that changing how some mechanics work can create a drastically different gameplay experience. For example, in StarCraft, there's a much larger focus on microing your units in combat, and less focus on the economy than, let's say, Age of Empires, where half of the game is around managing your macroeconomy and resources, whereas in Warhammer 40k Dawn of War, instead of controlling individual units in combat, you're controlling entire squads, which are groups of units of the similar type, which has other gameplay implications, and in this case, it fits a lot better the Warhammer board game mechanics. So it is very fun to see the variations that you can get with those different designs while also preserving the core elements of what an RTS should be. But as I said before, RTS is not getting any bigger. It is declining, or it's static at best. While 20 years ago RTS was at its prime, today publishers don't have a strong market reason to produce more and bigger RTS titles, and most players would have a hard time learning them. So what could publishers do to make this genre thrive even in 2025? Well, this is my opinion only, but I feel that the way players play these days has changed, and new RTS games should respect that. For example, I love the old Fallout games, Fallout 1 and 2 especially. They are from 1997 and 1998, and to me they're the best in class. I love the retro feel and the different mindset you need to have in order even to play the game. Even issuing your character commands during combat was weird and cumbersome. That can be fun if you're not a fellow like me, but most people playing it today will probably not have much fun. The UX design, or the user interface, is really not friendly. Not only that, but old RPGs have this very different approach to progression, not just by design, but also because of the technical limitations of the time. So in Fallout 2, I can easily walk into an area that I'm totally not ready for. I'm gonna die instantly, but the game doesn't tell me that. And if I don't save my game prior to that unbeatable fight, that's it. I either lost a lot of time and I have to backtrack all the way through, or maybe I simply lost my entire game because now I'm stuck in the situation I cannot get out of. That was something really common back in the day, that today doesn't feel great. It's mostly just a waste of time for the player. And you can argue that games like Dark Souls do exactly that and they're awesome, but the difference is that Dark Souls do that in a much more intentional way, and they still try to avoid a lot of the bottlenecks that old games simply couldn't. What I mean by all of that is that new RTS games are many times still following those same practices that do not resonate with players anymore. Some of the designs haven't been really upgraded to modern standards at all. Basic things like managing your economy. You have your villagers or workers and you issue individual commands for them to gather food and wood or whatever the game has to pile up your resources so you can build your base and train your army. I mean, I love doing that, but there are other ways equally fun to build and establish your economy that don't require such a manual approach, taking a big mental toll on the player just for the very basic level of interacting with the game. And if you're not good at doing that, you're simply gonna fail at an RTS. Period. There's no other way around it. So I think it's important for RTS designers to try and do something new. Once again, I love the well-established design and games out there, but we should not expect that new and younger players will engage very much with that kind of design. And many people might say that doing that kills the principles of what an RTS should be, but I disagree. As I said, the core principles are building your economy, training your army, and understanding how to win fights by microing your units. There are multiple ways of achieving that. I feel that the RPG genre recognized that a lot more and was able to continue to be relevant for modern audiences. For example, back in the day, you had character points to spend in strength and agility and intelligence in a way to build different types of characters, right? And I love that. Fallout 2 is like that, Diablo 1 and 2 are like that, and they are fantastic. But like it or not, if every RPG today demanded you to spend attribute points on your character at every level up, specifically fine-tuning every aspect of your character sheet, not a lot of players would be playing RPGs today. And if you're an older gamer like myself, you can be pissed about that and say that modern RPGs suck. Well, I don't fully disagree, but we cannot be so tied to old standards. RPGs are about developing your character and developing the story. And there are multiple ways, multiple fun ways of doing that. And I don't need necessarily to be spending attribute points like I'm playing a Dungeons and Dragons game. so RTS 2 can find new ways of developing those core principles of the genre into something that is more digestible for modern audiences, but still fun, still challenging and strategic, not sacrificing the design, but evolving it. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And alright, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did, and I'll catch you guys next time.